Hi, everyone. I'm Alex Giuliano, and welcome back to A Cannachef's Life, the podcast designed to bring cannabis chefs value through interviews with other cannabis chefs and sponsors in the industry. Today with me, I have a very special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Francisco Velez.
If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and give us a little bit of background about you as a chef. What was the moment you knew that this is what you wanted to do?
It's funny, a lot of people ask me that. I really, I was eating a piece of cheesecake one time, and I wondered how it was made, and I think it was like a holiday or something. I was really intrigued on these desserts, and I wanted to learn how to make them. So I did, and I think that's what started the path. Honestly, it was like right then, like that holiday when I was younger. I can't remember like the age.
Okay.
Somewhere around teenage years.
Teenagers? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So then when you kind of had that wonder and that decision, how did you go about pursuing it? Did you go through formal education or did you just go get a job in a restaurant and start there?
I was young, so I don't know if I had a job yet. I think I might have been like 15. It's not working yet. I was just still in school. I actually did recipes, and I brought them to people at school.
Oh, okay.
And I let them try them, girls especially. But
right.
Nonetheless, everybody tried them, and just got random feedback, honestly.
Nice. So then, in terms of feedback, how much negative feedback did you receive in the beginning?
It was okay, some people didn't like this, some people didn't like that. These are too damn chocolatey, you know what I mean? Like, fuck, I don't know how to fix it. Eat it, you know what I mean? Like, figure it out. I'll figure it out later. But
well, it's good. I'm glad to hear that none of that negative anything discouraged you from the path. That's always my biggest fear, particularly when you start younger. Like, some people are not geared to handle negative criticism well, particularly depending on what kind of home environment they're in at the time, especially in the teenage years. So,
totally understandable.
Yeah, it's one of those you gotta be careful. You have to know yourself before you put yourself in those kinds of situations.
Oh, definitely.
So then, after you had people at school trying and giving feedback, what was take me through your journey here. Let's fast forward maybe 5 years. Let's say you're in college now. Had you started hitting
fast forward 5 years?
Yeah.
If we fast forward 5 years, and I went in the military.
Okay.
A couple years later from then, I joined when I was 17. I was still a junior.
Okay.
And I actually became a cook in the military.
Nice.
So I kind of stood under the same umbrella, you know what I mean?
Right. Okay. So how long were you in the military?
I did 10 years, and then I retired.
Okay, nice.
Medically retired, yeah. I retired probably like when I was like 26 or 27. So.
Okay. Well, yes, thank you for your service. That's awesome.
Thank you. Of course.
So then after you got out of the military, tell me about adjusting to the civilian life as a chef. Did you go right into being a chef in civilian life, or did you have to go through other things?
I had the notion that I wanted to do culinary school as soon as I got out of the military. So from there, I got this random job at a bar. Just kind of like enjoyed myself for a little bit, about 6 months or so, give my body a break. I was actually trying to go to Johnson & Wales in Miami, and I didn't end up being able to go to that sector. So I was like, let me just keep it local. And if I want to go to another school, then I can. I ended up going to Savannah Tech here in Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
They have a great culinary program along with other programs. But when I did that program, I was like, man, I loved my chefs. I loved everybody, that was teaching me. So I did a culinary degree, and I got a baking and pastry degree.
Nice. It's funny because that actually segues great into the next question. Is usually chefs have some sort of specialty, particularly when they're coming out of school. So you went more the baking pastry kind of dessert route, or?
I didn't necessarily choose a route. I felt that both would be good under my belt.
Okay.
The way that I look at it, they can pay me as opposed to paying two people to do the same job. You know what I mean? Because if you have a baker there as well as a culinarian, they don't need to hire a baker. They can just pay me more. So.
See, that's good thinking right there. That's thinking ahead. So then, with that degree, how did you segue into the working world?
I tried to go. Everybody wants to shoot for the stars right away. So I applied at like 5 of the best restaurants in downtown Savannah. Obviously, none of them hired me. So I walked past this gastropub. It's called the Ordinary Pub. And I remembered back when I was in culinary school, I was rounding my 3rd year or so, because I did about 3.5 years for both programs. So I was rounding like my 3rd year, and they're always chefs are always looking for new people fresh out of culinary school, because they're already kind of in that mold. And I noticed Ordinary Pub was hiring, so it was just kind of vague, just Ordinary Pub hiring. And so I went to look up their menu amongst the other menus. And I felt that the chefs there were onto something that I like to do. They, were just kind of fusing things that didn't go together and making it work. And, they were being creative, and I can see the creativity that they had there, especially just based off the knowledge that I've been learning. So I can see that they're taking French and, Spanish or Mediterranean, and I can see the things that they're trying to cultivate together. And I ended up applying there, and they hired me shortly after I applied. So.
Nice. So then your first foray there, what position did you get into as a chef there?
At this point, I'm just working the line, but I am working towards trying to, because, being a chef, I guess sous chef, executive chefs, there's different positions, you know what I mean? At this point, I'm just kind of lower level, but I'm shooting for the stars though.
Okay, fantastic. So then that's currently where you work?
Yeah. Okay. But I try and get together with the chefs because they know the amount of knowledge that I have. So I try and do my best to bring to the team. I help with the chef special, the taco special every Tuesday, you know what I mean? So I'm like hands-on. I try to do a lot more than I'm supposed to, you know what I mean? Just to show them so that I want it. So in the event that, hey, you become this or you become this, it's just too easy, So.
With this job you've got, was it affected by COVID? Did you have this job pre-COVID and then weathered the storm through COVID, or is this a post-COVID job that you got?
I got it before, and then COVID hit, and then I was out of a job for a couple months. I went back, and then I ended up catching Corona, so I had to stop working again. Mm-hmm. So I was out of work for like 5 months or so, 4 or 5 months.
Unfortunately, I didn't follow how Georgia handled it. Did they shut restaurants down entirely, or did they allow for carryout?
They shut everything down at first, and then they kind of warmed up to opening up, and then it kind of backfired on them. So then they like re-shut everything down again. And then they slowly started opening it up back again. So I've been back to work probably the last 2 months or so, like right when they're trying to start it up back. So, and it's been pretty decent. I mean, they're not shutting anything down. I haven't heard of any crazy Corona, people catching it over here or over here, and then they're shutting these back down again. You know what I mean? It's been pretty consistent as far as like openness wise. So
nice.
I'm pretty happy.
So then, with you having caught it, I know actually one of the other chefs I've spoken to, my oldest brother, actually also caught it, and it seems to vary heavily between persons. For you, was it very drastic or was it more mild?
I would say, I wasn't like on my deathbed, but I was pretty sick. Yeah. I was sick for like 10 days, just like really bad body aches. Yeah. It's probably like one of the worst sickness I've ever had. But I compare it to like being really, really sick, like the sickest you've ever felt. But usually those only last like a 24 to 48 hour period. You know what I mean? You're going to the hospital, they'll bring your temperature down, boom, you're good in 3 days. I was sick like that for 10 days straight. So it was pretty rough. And then right about the 13th day, or 11 to 13, I felt a lot better. And then within that next week, I guess I was 100. I wouldn't say 100, but I was good. I quarantined myself for 14 days and everything like that. I stood by the guidelines. The worst part was like losing my taste and smell.
Oh, so you had anosmia and oh, that's awful.
Yeah, I couldn't taste nothing. And one of my homegirls at work, she caught corona and she still can't taste or smell. And
I
it's
was gonna
been
say, at least you got it back. One of the other chefs, it was several months after you
That's
got better.
so bad. I was talking to somebody and I couldn't imagine as a chef, not being able to taste or smell. It's like, what am I going to do? I got to shoot from the hip at that point.
Right. Those are the two major senses you're using to guide what you're doing. Like, it smells good, nothing smells burnt, like everything's going well in the kitchen. Then you taste it to make sure this. Oh, no.
I'd be lost.
Sounds terrible. So, with your current situation now, because being a member of the Cannabis Chef Union, I assume, is there cannabis somewhere in your chef career at all, or are you more of a regular chef?
No, I love cooking with cannabis. I started Gourmet Canna Creations, which is an edible business. It's not necessarily like trademark yet, but me and my business partner, she's in Chicago and I'm here in Georgia. So I have to be careful because I have gotten in trouble with cannabis out here. So I try to stick with my business primarily in Chicago. As far as like cooking and stuff, as far as like cooking and stuff like that goes, yeah, I would love to. Anybody that, like I said, I joined the Cannabis Union. Brooksy invited me to join, and it was super helpful because it's the two things that I want to do: cook with cannabis and I want to make edibles. So it was like a match made in heaven.
Nice. So then, when it comes to the cooking with kids, I know you said you make edibles, but are you also do you also like to dabble with the savory flavors, like infusing oils and then making regular meals like pastas, pizzas, things like that?
Oh yes, I can do it all. I've dabbled testing it with myself. The highest I've ever got was like this meatball sub. It was ridiculous. I added way too much, but I've been trying to experiment with, different items. There's, I don't know. To me, there's different ways. I like to use tincture. Some people use butters and oils and stuff like that. I can imagine if I'm like making a pasta, yeah, I'd probably put it in the oil, or it just depends on like the application and what I'm going to do it for. But I can definitely infuse pretty much anything, like savory, sweet, whatever.
Nice. So then, with your business, I know you said edibles. Is it strictly edibles or is it catering as well?
Okay, so I tried to start two things. So I have Gourmet Canna Creations, and that's you can find that on IG. And then I have what's called High Dining. Okay. So what I'm trying to do there is a 5-course meal, all edible. Right. But I'm trying to do it like, like 5-star, like plating is going to be to the T. We're going to do wine pairings. Some of the ideas that I was playing around with is like crab stuffed mushrooms for an appetizer. Going to do like a consomme. You do like a salad. You do an entree, which I was playing with like a braised beef short rib with celeriac puree and some baby mixed carrots. Like I said, all edible. A dark chocolate pistachio creme brulee for dessert and stuff like that.
Wow, no, making my mouth water. I love it.
Thanks.
Fantastic. So then, with cooking with cannabis, on the sponsorship side of things, do you have any sponsors actively right now?
We don't.
Okay. Did you have any sponsors in mind that you were targeting?
No, I did notice on the Cannabis Chef website that there was different sponsorships. I hadn't gotten able to just kind of look through and see who, but I did notice it, so I definitely am going to in the future.
Yeah, one I would recommend for you, just based on your meatball sub story, would be Undo.
Undo?
Yes, UNDOO.
Okay.
It's essentially a supplement that you take that helps bring you down from being too high.
That's awesome.
So that's something to keep in mind, particularly for like high dining, your infused parties. Especially if you
Oh,
can get them as a
definitely.
sponsor, I'm sure they'd be willing to send you samples so that you could just, put maybe on your flyer or on your menu, you have their logo on there just to let everyone know about the brand. And then if anybody gets too
Oh,
high,
yeah.
they ask us, we'll supply this for you.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't realize, if they smoke a blunt or take a bong rip, that's only like 10 to 15 milligrams ingested. So a lot of people think that they can handle 500 milligrams and they really can't.
Hmm.
And it's just funny, like, to see people like, I've I've been way too high making stuff, and I know, like, 500, 600, like, that's just like being slumped. You know what I mean? It's not fun. It's like
No.
Friday night, and you're like passed out at 7:30.
Oh no, yeah. I've had some experiences where I've been served 350 milligrams for lunch one day and wasn't told that it was that high.
Oh
Dude, I have an hour
no!
drive home. What are we doing? I almost fell asleep in the car. Like it was terrible.
Oh, I know, it's rough.
Yeah.
So, but I do try to take caution. I do a lot of formulas. Um, and it was funny, like, my business partner looked at my notebook and she said, like, I'm a mad scientist, but it is important to understand what you're giving people and how much. So that's why I go that lengths, and I make sure, per milligram, per whatever, I'll do it just to make sure that my customers are satisfied. So.
Nice. Now, when it comes to creating your tinctures or your butters and oils or your infusions, what are you doing it like the old school method, or do you use any sort of machinery for it?
I don't know. I'm not sure what the old school method is.
Like for butter in particular, using a crock pot, or for tincture,
Oh,
essentially
I
just letting it
understand.
sell.
Um, so I use a high grade solvent.
Okay.
And based on that, I'm able to uh take 90% of the cannabis, as opposed to butters and stuff, which they take out like 50 to 60% of the cannabis in the plant. So even though it's better because the cannabinoids stick to the butter,
Right.
you're not really getting a lot of the cannabis out when you're trying to infuse something else. So that's why I go with the tincture, because it's like a 90%. So from there, I just have to figure out, per THC milligrams per milliliter, the amount of liquid that I'm infusing, and then it just goes from there. And then you have to account for 10% loss. But yeah, so that I do it like that.
Nice. Now, what process do you do then to make the tincture? Is it
Oh,
proprietary?
I just I let it soak, and then I put it in the freezer. That's it. But a lot of people, they'll ask, why do you do that? So when you freeze, I'll freeze them separate and then I'll combine them. But when you decarboxylate your green and then you throw it in the freezer, the water or any moisture that's in the plant will freeze and it'll break the molecule open, allowing the THC to come out better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now,
Yeah.
I actually used to, as a kid, when I was trying to hide the smell of my weed from my parents, I would keep it in the freezer of my mini fridge. So,
Really?
my theory, and this was just one night I was high. I'm like, here's why this works. I was like, the reason you can pull the bag out of the freezer and it doesn't smell as much is because the air in there is colder, so the molecules are moving slower. I don't know if that's fucking true, but I thought it was hilarious later on
I
when
would have bought it.
saw it in my notebook. I was like,
I would have bought it. I would have bought it.
it's,
I'd be
it
like, yeah,
sounds
man,
close enough.
that's exactly why, man. Good
Oh,
job figuring that out.
oh, that's great. So, when it comes to building a career as a chef, what advice would you have to offer, particularly now here during this COVID time, for any chef who's just getting started?
Ooh. For any chef that's just getting started, I'd recommend that you work on the line first before you decide that you want to do it. Because some people really can't handle the heat. And I know a lot of people that, and it was funny, I used to ask my chef why he was such a dick, but he was just a dick in the first class. And he explained to me why. And he said, because I'm trying to weed out the people that really don't want to be here. So this is like acted like you would like in the industry, you know, and some people didn't graduate and some people did, you know. So but that was actually one of his sayings. It's like, or I was not one of his sayings, excuse me, that was Anthony Bourdain. It came from Anthony Bourdain, and I think he quoted it. But yeah, he's saying work in the restaurant first before you think you want to be a chef and go to culinary school and actually make it your job, you know. So
Right. That's really great advice. That goes along with actually something that really is advice for anybody going to start a career is taste everything. If you don't know what you want to do, try it all. You may like it, you may hate it. If it's not for you, don't be afraid to cut your losses and move on to the next thing.
yeah, and that's definitely customary to make sure you taste everything and, you know, make sure it looks good. And you know, you got to ask somebody, you know, would you eat that? And if they say no, it's like, well, you're gonna serve that to somebody, so why would you, you know? So
Right. Right. No, yeah. It's interesting because I know a couple of bankers who have stopped banking because they didn't like the products they had to sell to their customers being a banker. Have you
wow.
ever have you known any chefs that have experienced that where they'll walk out because they don't respect the product that they have to sell to their customers? Like,
Can you rephrase the question? I didn't
yeah,
understand.
essentially, first, have you ever met any chefs that worked in a kitchen, particularly like an executive chef, where he doesn't have full control over the menu, the owner of the restaurant does, so he ends up leaving because the type of product he's being forced to sell is not something he would sell.
Oh, yeah, I've never been in that situation.
Okay, okay,
Luckily,
yeah,
you know,
that's
because I've seen like Restaurant Impossible, and then like the owners really like take over. You know what I mean? Like all them shows where the owner is like dragging their restaurant into the mud, and the executive chef's like, I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like you're supposed to. So yeah, I've always been in situations where, you know, the owner and the manager are really really cool with each other, especially in the place that I work at now. Everybody is the atmosphere is really really good.
nice, nice. Well, I've only got one more question here for you. It's been a fantastic interview so far.
Thank you,
And
thank
this
you.
this last question is actually a rather selfish one. Being one of the owners of the union, what do you think we could do better to help your career?
What do I think you guys can do better?
Mhm.
Hmm. I'm not exactly sure. I just became part of the union. From what I've seen, it seems pretty good so far. Um, yeah, I mean, I couldn't say what. I mean, I think you guys are doing a fantastic job so far.
Okay,
I
well
mean,
then,
there's always room for improvement, of course.
right.
So,
Maybe the question being phrased to what if you were to have if you were to ask somebody for help, what is the one thing right now that you would need help with that would take your career to the next level?
mm, honestly, I mean, just marketing and just getting my name out. You know what I mean? Just making sure that people are seeing my name or the next chef's name. You know what I mean? Just
Right.
just just making sure that somebody's staying on top of, like, hey, if Francisco just joined Cannabis, let's make sure and put his picture and introduce him. I think I seen that y'all did it for one other person. Just staying on top of that, I think that's super cool. Just yeah, staying on top of, you know, making sure that people see our face,
Right.
because essentially you guys started the company, but it's like we're almost the face, because you are
Yeah. Well,
you
we
are,
work for
you know,
you.
what your
That's
people are, you know. So
yeah. Yeah, the whole point of our union was because we wanted to help chefs. It's not about us. It's about the like we
yeah,
work
yeah,
for
yeah.
you. We want to promote you, and it's funny because I struggled with the idea of even doing this podcast because I didn't want to put my face on it because I'm not a chef. I'm just a businessman, and I'm
Got
here to
you.
promote the chefs. You know,
I
like
understand.
but
But the chefs need a face too, so thank you very
yeah.
much.
Oh, absolutely, and thank you. So that's all the questions I had for you tonight. It was a
Okay,
great interview. Do you have any
thank you.
parting words? You want to plug your social media and everything?
Yeah. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can follow me at Chi-Town. That's CHITOWNBRED01. And at Instagram, you can follow me at Gourmet Canna Creations.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight. I really appreciate it. I usually like to do a follow-up interview 6 months to a year down the road just to see how your career has progressed. And then, of course, at that point, you may have more insight into how we can help you, which would be great. And then we'll go from there.
All right. Thank you for the interview. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. It was my pleasure to have you. Have a great night.
All right. You too, man. See you guys.
All right. Bye. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching that episode of A Cannachef's Life. I'm your host, Alex Giuliano. For more episodes of A Cannachef's Life, you can see our little tag here in the video up in the top right-hand corner. It'll take you to the playlist. If you'd like more information about the Cannachef Union, please visit our website, ccunion.org. That's ccunion.org. Thanks so much for watching.